Good evening. Before I start, can I please ask members or officers in physical attendance with an electronic device to mute it to avoid feedback? And can I ask any remote participants to keep their camera and microphone off unless they wish to speak, and ideally not use the camera facility at all, as this can affect the quality of the IT connection. This meeting may be recorded, and data collected during the recording of the meeting will be retained in accordance with the Council's data retention policy. The recording of the meeting may be added to the Council's website. Members accessing the meeting remotely should use their Swellborough Council or Kent County Council laptop to participate virtually. If you join using the link on the website or on a mobile and tablet device, it is not always possible to identify you, and you may not be recorded as in remote attendance. First of all, welcome everybody to the meeting. Today we have the following staff in attendance. We have the Head of Place, Joanne Johnson, Planning Manager for Policy, Natalie Earle. We don't have Stuart here yet, but I'm sure he will be here at some point. We have the Principal Heritage Officer, Jamil Kishore. We also don't have Christopher. And we have Democratic Services, Philippa Richardson. I'm sure you all know the evacuation procedure, but if the alarm goes, it is genuine. Doors are that way and that way. Does anyone need assistance in leaving the building? Do we have any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. Apologies have been received from Councillor Charles Gibson, who is substituted by Councillor Ben J. Martin, and also from Councillor Kieran Golding, who is substituted by Councillor Angela Harrison. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Chairman. Sorry, I did say to Democratic Services I couldn't be present because obviously, as you can sound by my voice, I'm not very well, but I'm here online.
Thank you for coming, Monique. And if you note that down further, but thank you. I am now going to ask for approval of the minutes of the meeting on the 16th of September, minute numbers 312 to 315. I wasn't here, so I'm going to need people who were to... Thank you. I'll sign those later. And also the extraordinary meeting held on the 4th of November, minute numbers 420 to 425. Okay, I'll sign those later as well. Can I ask for any declarations of interest? And now over to Joanne Johnson to read Jamil to read the report.
Chairman.
To take online.
Sorry, Mike Baldock.
I just wanted to also add to what Monique Bonney said. As it's a hybrid meeting, I'm here online, but not in the studio. What do you call it?
Well, you don't appear to be connected using your Swellborough Council device, so may not be recorded in attendance. Over to Jamil.
And I'm in the minutes. That'll be an interesting little quandary for next meeting, won't it?
But I can see him. It says Mike Baldock on his dial-in.
That could be anyone called Mike Baldock, or enter the name Mike Baldock, which you can do.
Hello. The report today is for proposed designation of area of special control for advertisement, and we are proposing it for 8 conservation areas within the borough which have a commercial centre. In the report on page 4, under 2.5, it lists 8 points where ASCA allows greater control, and it's the first 3 points which would be added on to these conservation areas, because the points 4 to 8 are already applicable in a conservation area. And these, in the consultation document, I have included maps with a little purple shading, which basically identifies the commercial center of that conservation area. And what we intend to consult on is whether people are happy for ASCA to just be designated onto the commercial center, or would they want the entire conservation area to be designated? So there has been a bit of a misprint on page 29 under Queenborough conservation area, where one of the questions has jumped onto the next page. It's basically, it should have been on page 28, but it's jumped onto page 29, which says, should the boundary of the proposed ASCA be drawn to match the conservation area boundary as shown by the brown line? So that's one mistake that I've just picked up on printing. But other than that, the consultation document is as presented, and we would like to go out and consult on that. And we would like, if the working group can recommend it to be presented to Policy and Resources Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamil. Has anybody got any questions? Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. I've got no issue with the document at all. It's all quite clear. Got no issue with it going out to consultation. The only question I've got with these, as in general, is how do we deal with properties at the moment that have already got signs and everything up? Because if we're bringing in new rules in these areas, and some of these buildings have already got signs up that the text and everything doesn't meet what we're looking for, are we looking at taking action against those ones, or is it something, because if we've got new ones coming in, it's like, how are people going to know that they can't have something that someone next door may have, for example?
So when an ASCA is brought in, we cannot impose restrictions retrospectively. However, if any of the signs are existing within a conservation area without a planning approval, then that's a planning breach, and that could be taken up on that basis. However, ASCA cannot be applied retrospectively.
Councillor Hunt, anything else? No. Councillor Speed.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to raise the issue of the definition of advertisement. It's actually outlined at 1.1 in the questions at the end, and basically says, in practice, advertisements include a very wide range of devices such as posters, boards, fascia and projecting signs, directional signs, estate agents' boards, static balloons, flags, price displays, traffic signs and village name signs. I think this is actually quite an important point. So these new regulations, if they came in, would not just apply to what we think of as advertisements, but those other types of signs as well. So my suggestion would be that definition is included in the main body of the consultation text and not lost in the questions. The reason I raise this is that in Tenham, in the London Road, within the conservation area, there is a barber's shop which has an illuminated sign that says open, then it's got a garish illuminated fascia over the doorway, there's an illuminated haircut sign with moving graphics, and there's an illuminated multicolour rotating barber's pole. Now, no permission was sought for these signs. I note there's reference to advertisements with internal or halo illumination, but the main thrust of these new restrictions seems to be permitted height and sizes. So what I was wondering, would an ASCA help to restrict that type of garish, excessively illuminated signage, or would it be covered by existing controls, in which case, in the instance I've specified, would that be an enforcement issue? There was another point I wanted to make, but maybe through you, Chair, the officer could respond on that point.
Jamil?
So the illuminated signs can be enforced under the conservation area aspect. But the definition of advertisement that is included in key questions is what ASCA refers to. So when we talk about implementing or designating ASCA, then we are referring to that definition of advertisements. In terms of illuminated signs, that definitely has to be enforced under the conservation area aspect of the designation.
Councillor Speed.
Thank you. So, are you saying that the one I'm referring to should be an enforcement issue under the current regulations? And what were your thoughts on my suggestion of putting that definition of advertisement into the main text of the consultation rather than losing it in the questions at the end? Because I think people might not.
Yes,
find
I
it.
can do that. And I think if that's going to be useful, then yes, we can move it around to be right in the beginning of the document so that it starts the basic premise.
Okay,
Yes, can do.
thank you. My other point was that looking at the the map of Tenham, there's the option of the purple area, which is the main part of the London Road that has shops in it, or should it be the entire conservation area boundary? I would have thought that the purple area should be the extent of London Road that has retail premises on it. But actually some retail outlets are included and some are excluded. I think westwards is fine, but eastwards, I would have thought the purple area should extend to the corner of Station Road where there's actually a fish and chip shop. So could the purple area be extended to that junction?
Yes, can do. Yes, we'll do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And my other point, Councillor Hunt's just raised, so won't raise that again.
Thank you very much. Councillor Baldock.
Hello. Right,
Can hear you.
just two things. One, I'm wondering why this isn't due to go out for consultation until summer 26. That's quite a way off. And with respects to the comments about not being able to take action retrospectively, such a long run-in could encourage people to put stuff out now so they're not retrospectively affected. Is there any way we could do this quicker?
We are aiming for it to be earlier than that, but that's the absolute latest. So we're aiming for the February Policy and Resources Committee, and once the document is approved through there, then we should be able to go out to consultation soon after that. Of course, there's a bit of admin work involved, but yes, the idea is to go out to consultation as soon as possible.
Oh, that's much more reassuring. Thank you.
Councillor Whiting.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm grateful to the officer for clarifying the situation about the questions on page 28 and 29. And I'm pleased that the question on 29 will be appearing as part of the consultation. One thing that reading the document, though, I see that this is all about high streets. The Queenborough one, which is the area I represent, the area that's been suggested isn't the high street, and none of the high street is included, other than in that wider question about the conservation area. And I wonder whether we might want to extend the purple area for the entire length, what it is there, and just extend it right down to the high street until we get to the thing. And I have the simple question: do you think this is a good idea? Rather than give people that option. I don't like taking options away from people, but it seems a bit daft not to be included in the high street when the whole purpose of this is to conserve high streets. And we're not seem to be doing that in Queenborough. Thank you.
In Queenborough, High Street is quite residential. So I've focused on the commercial center of the conservation area, but I'm quite happy to include the high street as the road is named. However, within a conservation area, residential amenity and their features can be better maintained by Article 4. And ASCA would be almost like an overkill to include residential areas. But I'm quite happy to include it if you feel so, because this is a consultation document and people can comment on it and we can take it from there.
Chairman, if I could come back quick, if we could include it, I'd be grateful, because there are probably as many businesses down the high street in total as there are in that little purple area that you're talking about. So we could probably double the number of businesses that we were covering if we could extend the purple all the way down. That would be really good. The second point was where we talk about numbers 1 to 8. Which paragraph? On page 13, where designation, we've got the list of 8 bullet points. And we refer to advertisement types 4 to 8 listed above, where they're not numbered. I think when we go to consultation, could we number those rather than bullet them? It will make it easier for the public. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bonney.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have quite a degree of sympathy for what Councillor Whiting said and Councillor Baldock in their comments, and I agree with those. I suppose my comment really is that if you're a business or a resident and you're in one of these areas where there's a conservation area and you're going to have an advertisement control area, it's much easier to administrate, and also for a resident and a business to understand to which area it applies if it's the whole area. So if you pick out the whole conservation area, as Councillor Whiting was saying, it makes it much simpler for people to understand that you have both of those things apply to the same area. If we start mucking around with bits of areas, I think that leads to confusion. It leads to an awful lot of officer time checking for people and businesses, and for residents and businesses to understand that. Because the key, I think, quite often to getting these things properly rolled out is people understand that there's clarity around those designations. And if they coincide and are the same area, it's much easier to administrate.
Jamil, do you have a response to that?
I agree with you, and in terms of clarity, I think the maps require a bit more, they need to be drawn a bit more clearly. For the Policy and Resources Committee, we can attempt drawing a more clear boundary instead of just a shading over the streets. And then take it from there depending on how the consultation goes. Would that help?
I think it would, but I'm just saying, actually, I think it's probably easier if you adopt wholesale the conservation area, which has got a nice boundary line. It makes it easy for the officers, whoever goes out from an enforcement perspective, they'll have a good working knowledge of those areas, rather than the thickness of a pencil trying to recreate something, or cutting bits out or missing bits off. Because I think that's when we get in a mess, and also when the residents and the businesses get confused and entangled. And the other thing, is that I see this short list, but I think in the long term it's something that we will probably have to go back and revisit, because I think there'll be more conservation areas. And I hear what you say about an Article 4 might be appropriate. I'm just almost wondering why, when you have a conservation area, it might actually be prudent to have, an immediate, it's a suite. It's not just a conservation area, but we also have is the advertising thing and the Article 4s, because there's a lot of confusion around what you can and can't do in a conservation area, and whether changing the colour of a window frame is significant, classed as significant. And I'll think of some examples in Tunstall. And then when you talk about signage, it's the same sort of thing. So I'm just trying to find a way that's much easier to administrate and for people to understand.
Any comments on that?
Thank you, Chair. One initial comment would be that conservation areas don't automatically come with Article 4s and don't automatically come with ASCAs. There has to be separate justification. So introducing a blanket to follow one would be very difficult. We do have on the work programme to look at Article 4s in more detail, and ASCAs have to be reviewed every 5 years as a minimum. So there is an inbuilt review mechanism as to whether they could or should be expanded to further areas. Thank you.
Thank you, and hopefully your voice will get better soon, Councillor Bonney. I will propose it. Do I have a seconder? Council? Oh, you've got a question, Councillor Martin.
It's just a very minor one for page 22. Again, I think like some of the other maps, the area that is shaded does not represent the full area detailed in the report. I'm noticing in particular on the East Street end, essentially it's stopping at the end of Market Street rather than covering the few properties on East Street that should be in there. I'm thinking the post office, the old Clark's shoe shop, etc., right through to the butchers, which are, for the majority, quite nice old buildings. Exclude the post office in that, even if the Faversham Society say it's a lovely example of 1970s brutalist architecture. I disagree. If we can just have that little patch of purple put on, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Councillor Whiter?
Can I just ask what you're proposing? I understand fully. Can we just make? Are we talking about your proposal including the additional piece of purple that has been requested in Telham and Queenborough? Thank you.
I'm proposing it with all of the adaptations discussed. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Martin. All those in favour? That is unanimous.
Great.
And with that, I believe that is the end of the meeting. I make that 7:23. Thank you very much.